Hey, you're welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, of course, welcome back. My name is Nae. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the cheapest states in the US. You guys know that your expenses is determined on the states that you're living in the US. If you're living in like California or like New York, which are like very expensive places, then of course you're gonna have like more expenses than if you're living in a cheap place, right? And also, if you see me looking down, I am staring at my notes, so I am able to give you guys all the details that I wrote down. So the first state that is very cheap, actually the cheapest state, is Mississippi. And if you guys know where Mississippi is on the map, is in the south of USA. And it's like right after Alabama, like to the left. If you live in Georgia, I'm using Georgia as example because I live in Georgia. If you live in Georgia, it's like on the map is like right to the left of Alabama. The cost of living there is very low. It's actually 17% less than the national average, and the housing costs are like very cheap, right? So the next state is Kansas. So Kansas on the map of US is located on top of Oklahoma. I'm going to insert the map somewhere here so you guys can be following. It's in the Midwest. So yeah, Kansas is also very cheap. An average 2-bed apartment, so that's 2-bedroom apartment in Kansas, is about $900 to $1,000. That's 2-bedroom apartments. That's very cheap considering like if you're living in places like a normal average state. Maybe you're living in places like, I want to say like Georgia, or like if you're living in places like maybe DC or something, a 2-bed can cost you like $2,000 to $5,000. The next states again are Alabama, and after Alabama, the next cheapest state is Oklahoma. Also, Alabama is like right next to Georgia. It's like by the left if you're looking on the map. And then Oklahoma is like right below Kansas. And after that, the next are Arkansas and Missouri. So Arkansas is different from Kansas, so don't like mistake the two of them. So if you're like choosing like a school to go to or like a place to live in the US, these are like, you know, cheap states where, you know, things are not gonna be as expensive as if you're living, say, like in Texas. So that's something else that you bear in mind even as you're choosing these places to live in. One other thing that I want to point out is if you see like all of these states that I called, they are all kind of like in the south or in the Midwest. I don't know if you guys noticed that if you're looking on the map of the US, these states are all like in the south or in the Midwest. So that should tell you something. It basically means that like if you're living in the south, the southern part of the US is generally cheaper than like the northern part of the US or like the west, like California. So if you're living in the south, things are okay. Things are not like that expensive. When you start moving up north, things start to get pricey because, you know, up north is like you're trying to go to like New York, New Jersey, like you're, you know, moving all the way up there where like the life is at, where everyone is at, where everyone wants to be. So of course it starts making things pricey. Something else you should also consider in mind is that even though they are cheap, minimum wage and salaries would be different. So I lived in Kentucky, so minimum wage in Kentucky is $7.25, right? But if you're living in a place like New York, I know minimum wage in New York is like around $14. So that's also something else you should consider. A salary in New York, like if you get like a good job in New York, you're gonna be getting paid like, let's say for instance $100,000 per year on that job, right? But if you're living in a place like Mississippi, for that same job, you're probably gonna be making, let's say, $70K for that same job, right? So this is something else you should consider even as you're saying, okay, I'm gonna move to this cheaper place. As you're moving to those cheaper places, opportunities are also less. Another thing that you should also consider is also the opportunities, right? Now, say for instance, people that are living in California, right? Like there is a reason why people go to places like California to become like movie stars, or go to like Broadway to become like, you know, music stars, because they know those are like the places where people go to scout for talent, for like, you know, being a movie star or like a singer, right? Now, like no one is gonna come to, you know, Mississippi to like look for a movie star. Like it's just not done. So depending on what you want to achieve, depending like what you're coming to the US to do, the reason why you're moving to the US, you have to take all of these things into consideration. So even if yes, you want to live in a cheap place, also consider like the opportunities in those places. There's a reason, like I have had some people ask me on this channel, on this page, they have asked me if it's better living in Silicon Valley for tech because they're in tech, right? So it's like, oh, if I live in Silicon Valley, will I get a job easier? You know, there's a reason they're asking that question, because they know like Silicon Valley is like the tech hub, you know, like if you want to blow in tech, if you want to like make $150,000 a year in tech, you know. So that's also something else you should consider. You should look at like everything that you're trying to achieve, the reason why you're coming to the US, and, you know, take all of those things into consideration. Even though like these states that I have mentioned are very, very cheap, they're like super cheap, check also if what you want to come to the US to do, if those states have it. So yeah guys, this is going to be the end of my video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. You guys know the drill. Also subscribe to my newsletter and join the Telegram group if you want, and I will see you guys in another video.